Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Rico,
I'm Tony.
and this is the podcast known as Relatively Sound, the podcast that is in defrost mode. Today, Tony and we are welcomed by the co-founders, I guess the only founders of the band Cluthe Lee. We have Matt Cluthe and we have Chris Lee here today. How are you guys doing?
Good, good.
Excellent. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Oh
absolutely.
no, we're so happy to have you guys on the podcast. Now, regular listeners might remember we had Matt on a previous episode last year, I believe,
Mhm.
where we did a little interview with him. We talked about his musical upbringing. We talked about how he started Cluthe Lee with Chris, how they met, and we talked about some of his EP, some of his solo work, as well as the new album from you guys. And as far as I know, you guys are about to maybe release some new music soon. So we all thought it'd be a great idea to do an episode with both of you guys here to discuss the new music. Maybe throw out some little teasers. So I think first, well, we want to start with asking Chris a couple questions since you weren't on the Matt episode. Love to know about your musical upbringing. Maybe first when you really got into music, when you picked up your first instrument, as well as some of your musical influences.
Yeah, I grew up surrounded by music right from the start. Um, my dad was the prime influence for that. Um, the bands like Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, REM, U2, um, the Doobie Brothers, 70s rock, 70s prog rock, Pink Floyd. Um, my dad loves music big time. And so I grew up hearing music emanating from his shop in the car. Um, yeah, there was a stereo in the living room. And I think his influence was his dad, my late Grandpa Lee, who uh, loved classical music. And so he would play that in the car and we'd go visit with him. And um, yeah, music everywhere. My mom likes music too. Beach Boys, the
Yeah.
Eagles. I would say Beach Boys and the Eagles were her like main. Supertramp, that was one of her favorites as well. I think I can easily remember Supertramp, the Eagles, Bob Seger, Beach Boys on some mixed cassette heading out to every vacation we ever took. Probably from the time I was a little boy to gosh, till my last legit in the car road trip with them um, at 18. Yeah,
Nice.
so no instruments laying about in my house. There were instruments laying about in my mom's dad's house, her parents, my grandpa Clem, and he played guitar and sang and called square dancing after he retired from the Navy. And just a lovely voice. I did not inherit his lovely voice, but um, so I grew up listening to him play old country, like old Willie Nelson, Conway Twitty, Chet Atkins. Yeah, just anybody from that genre that you could think of. And he actually had a reel-to-reel in his living room.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, he would play reel-to-reel and then upgraded to a vinyl turntable at some point. So I like to think that music infiltrated my being early, but I didn't pick up an instrument until I was probably 15. And I asked for a guitar for Christmas when I was 16 and got a guitar. And the amp that's sitting here to the next to me here, a Fender Princeton 112. I got a cheap Fender Squier Eric Clapton colors when Eric Clapton used to be cool. And but I gotta admit, I probably did not touch that thing until I went to college. And it was in college that really I got my first acoustic, which is sitting behind me. It's over there. It's a
Nice.
1996 Fender Cutaway, with all the electronics gutted out of it. Um, and I'd say that was probably the start of it for me, and I really haven't looked back since then. My freshman year of college, 1996, all the way to today. Always learning, playing instruments acquired and gear. Yeah, so that's like my pedigree with music.
So for like, you talk about your influences like growing up and stuff, but like right now, like what are you listening to and like what type of music are you playing? Other than the album you just, are working on. But
Yeah, yeah, sure. Well, to be fair, that album was worked on 10 years ago.
Uh-huh.
So, the tracks on the album date, we're getting a side note, but like 2015 was when a lot of that got pulled together, but there are some tracks on there. There's one I wrote in 2010,
Wow.
legit. So, I'm writing a ton right now. And if you want to listen to what I'm up to, you can go to my Bandcamp page. I can give you guys that link later.
Oh yeah, we'll be putting all the links in the description
Oh,
for
thank
sure.
you. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, they're just a bunch of fleshed out demos and instrumental stuff I've been working on. As for influences lately, my goodness, listening to a lot of Neil Finn again because of his record store release.
Yeah, we
Um,
got Lindsay, huge Neil Finn fan, and we were definitely there on record store day picking that one up.
She's a
they
keeper for
finally, yeah, they finally put out the DVD I've had
yes.
for ages of
Yep.
his sessions at West 54th.
Yeah, she loves
Um,
that one solo album. She's really hoping that one gets repressed pretty soon.
oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I adore all of his releases, and he's still putting out music.
Yep.
So yeah, I love all of his catalog, and I'll dip into Crowded House, Finn Brothers. Finn Brothers have amazing stuff. So I kind of gravitate over that away too. When I'm listening to Neil Finn solo, I'm gonna listen to that too. I recently went through a weird Bush phase from the band, not the beer.
Mhm.
It occurred to me, I'm a 90s guy completely. I grew up as a teenager in the 90s, like all 90s, right? Like you'll find me on Sirius XM Lithium. Um, but I had never listened to any of their stuff other than stuff from 16 Stone.
Mm.
And so I've been listening to, and it hasn't really necessarily been influencing me, but yeah, I just finished listening to their last release thing yesterday.
which when was
Um,
that? Are they still making music?
Yeah.
yes, so I could not timestamp it for you, but it has been within the last couple of years that they have put out like a live record and then a um some new band stuff. And I think the only last man standing is Gavin Rossdale. I think the rest of the band has changed, but man, those first three records, there's some really good. And I'm not too into like the big loud grungy stuff from them. I like the quiet, if I'm being honest. And I maybe that has influenced a lot of what I've done. Honestly, I've been listening to that and a lot of Bush's slower stuff. Spoon, I see you're
Love me
wearing your
some
Lucifer on
Spoon.
the. I know
Yeah.
that you, dude.
Mhm.
Air hug, like that's so good.
You're not going to want to air hug Tony because we've had some very controversial Spoon takes on this podcast so far.
It's
Yeah. Yeah. I've
okay.
heard those.
It's okay. Yeah, no, that's man. Yeah, not right. Yeah, their early stuff is amazing,
I know. I think I
and
need to give Tony their first couple because it's
yeah,
vastly different than what they're putting out now. I love
I
both, but
highly recommend.
Yeah.
Yes, like their first legit couple of albums. They've got an EP out there somewhere. Like, oh
mhm.
my gosh. I'm one of those weirdos that when I like a band, I listen to everything they've done, and I pretty much end up liking everything
Yeah,
they've done.
I'm
That
guilty
includes
as
you
charged.
too. Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. I love everything you do. I mean, well, the last album I really can't get too behind, but I love like No Line on Horizon. I love pop. Like, yeah, I like the weirder stuff that some of the
The dreaded pop.
band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now
So
Tony
I'd
will be
say
getting pop
like
one day.
The dreaded pop.
the people hate that album, and I saw them on that tour.
Oh wow.
I was next to the catwalk,
Oh
and
nice.
about as far as me to hear my guitar on my right were Bono and the Edge playing Desire acoustic. So
Oh, that had to have been
yeah.
awesome.
Oh, dude, once in a lifetime. I've never seen them since, but it's fair to say all that kind of creeps in, right?
Yeah, no, for
Um,
sure.
and permeates for sure. And then Pearl Jam, duh. I mean, that's like it's not my muse, but I love them.
Well, I mean, and Pearl Jam's kind of the reason that we're all here right now. I mean,
Yep.
Pearl Jam is how I can first connected with both of you guys, and how you guys connected. Matt was talking on the episode we did with him prior about you guys, one of you posting on like the, I don't know what it was called, like the gear
Uh-huh.
little sub forum on the 10 Club. And Matt told us a story of how you were supposed to send him a song, and you sent him the wrong song.
Yep.
You remember that?
I did. I sent him this fully. I had not. It was my misunderstanding of how we were going to do this, like how we were going to proceed forward. After agreeing that we wanted to like work together and write together, um, I honestly I had no conception of how to do this, and so I sat down and got up my acoustic out and wrote this like basic verse part, like 1 minute worth. And I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna send that to him. He's gonna add on to it. We're gonna actually like write it together. And what I ended up sending him was a fully demoed out with guitars and
Drum
like
track.
Apple drum loop. Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what became Presently Falling. And I don't know when I caught that, but obviously what he sent back, here we are today, right? Like it just blew me away. We were driving to Chicago to go see Pearl Jam. There you go. There's the Pearl Jam link
There we
again.
go.
Back in 2009. And my wife and I listened to that in the car, and we were just like, this is good. This is really good. And I think maybe I remember thinking like, oh, dang, that's not what I was supposed to send him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was the next email. You sent me an email like, I think I sent you the wrong song, but I love what you did. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was something like that. But yeah.
Now, Matt, do you think that made it easier for you to kind of start this writing process with Chris? Like the fact that he sent you kind of a, more of a formally formed song instead of just like a little riff?
Well, I heard it. I distinctly remember recording that as I listened to it one time through, jotted a couple of notes down, and I already had a melody. So then I just kind of did a vocal take, just kind of with the melody, and I was like, okay, there's something here. And then I ended up writing, and I think I may have mentioned this, but I wrote another verse, but I think I dragged it on too long. So it just, when it cuts off, I thought that there was more song, and I was like, oh, but it worked, like the way it stops. But I thought it was cool because I was like, sweet, I just have to sing. All right, and but it changes. Like the next song was Setting Sun was the next one. That was the
Mhm.
next song, and that was totally different. Like, I had a piano to that one. I used my mom's classical as a bass, so I tuned it down and used her classical guitar as a bass, and so it was just, and it's kind of been like that since then. I'll send him songs and everything's done. And there's maybe he'll add drums or he'll add a little guitar or he'll send me a song and all I have to do is sing. So it really depends on the song. But there's some stuff he'll send me this like, hey, I left some space in there for additional guitar. I'm like, no, we don't need any more guitar. It sounds perfect as is. So we just like it's a lot of fun, and it's a true collaboration, just bouncing ideas off each other. And we're really excited to get this collection of songs out because we're both sitting on a mountain of ideas and we have decided we made a joint decision to not work on anything new until this thing is just out. So let's get this out to the world and then we're gonna dive right in to some new stuff and I'm really excited.
He says that, but he sneakily has put vocals and lyrics down
Yeah.
on
But
a couple of things that I sent him. It was probably before the verbal agreement.
I
This was last fall, and it what he sent back was just quintessential. I think it's us for sure,
Mhm.
but it's exciting. It's
Yeah.
we've been on layover for a while.
Yep. Yep.
So how have you guys been going about like actually recording the songs, not just writing them, but recording it, mixing it?
I mean, I'm kind of still just using this for like little demos, kind of like what I'm doing for the EPs. Um, and actually, I think a couple of those demos that I recorded on my iPhone ended up on this new album, or like one of the tracks did, or something. I can't remember which one. Um, anyway, I think maybe it was It reaches up. I think I recorded that on my iPhone. Yeah, that's what it was. Anyway, so still just kind of doing that. I mean, I've taken a step back from like GarageBand and stuff like that. For writing purposes, I just record it on my phone. And then I think as we move forward, I like the idea of keeping it simple. The EPs have really kind of helped me get out of that mold and overthinking things. Um, so at least for me, I'll probably still write and record them on my phone, and then I'll transfer them over. Like I'll re-record them on the GarageBand or whatever app I'm using, interface I'm using, and then we'll go from there. And I think Chris has kind of been doing the same kind of thing lately.
Yeah, we've evolved and then like devolved,
Yeah.
starting out with just using the inputs and speakers on our computers
Yep.
initially. Um, and then things built in, I think I had an instrument cable that connected directly to my MacBook, and so that was really the only like closed circuit recording I could do. Everything else was just kind of open air. As the years went, I acquired a lot of gear, microphones. I ended up getting an analog mixer and recording a lot of stuff using mics, mic placement, and that evolved to once the drums came into the mix. The drums was the impetus to get mics for me because the way to record drums, it wasn't going to fly just using the outboard mic on my computer. I mean, they've come a long way, and I'll get to that in a sec. But yeah, lots of gear, and then Matt's kind of followed along, got a Motu, and was doing a lot of mic recording. I mean, we kind of like upped the quality of it,
Hmm.
where you weren't really hearing the room. Just about as like a somewhat simulated studio it is, and it's you guys probably know this. Like, man, you can do all kinds of stuff from home. You don't even need to go to the studio, but. So that I'd say that I mean that carried us through the second album and then the third album and then this one coming up. There's a lot of stuff that is using mics and analog mixer and then here lately, Matt's right. Like I got a new MacBook, I got a MacBook Air, and I was just blown away by the microphone. It picks up acoustic amazing. It's
Yeah.
just a lot of like setting it down here in the room, just playing in the room. Um, and that's been for the last year that I've cranked out a ton of stuff just kind of in the room, no frills. I'm recording parts and things along with it, but no overdubs. I'm not going back over those things, warts and all, as Matt would say. It's just maybe an adjacent step from using my iPhone. But I've certainly used it. There's a song that I alluded to earlier, he wrote some lyrics for sneakily. That was all done on my iPhone. In fact, we took our hand at trying to use iPhone's GarageBand to record, and that was a fun little hassle for sure.
Tony and I have done that for sure before.
Down the long road, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it, right? Like, and I was amazed, like, oh, this has got a lot of functionality for such a tiny little
Hmm.
Yeah.
thing, right? And then I think I've pivoted back here lately towards gear again. I picked up an Audient DI because the analog mixer can't be plugged into this. Like it needed a direct input to interface. Um, and I just acquired a mic preamp, an 8-channel mic preamp that will allow me to finally multi-track drums. Everything has just been dumped into one track. Mic placement, right? Like studying where to put what, in some cases just one mic. and that thing's sitting right over here. It's it looks like a beast, but I've been studying it up and yeah, just looking to kind of learn more, right? Um and pivoting more towards garage band use for sure.
Yeah,
For
see, a
sure.
lot, a lot of the stuff for me is like you're speaking another language. But Tony's actually going to school right now for audio engineering. So
Oh,
Yes,
that's
yes.
awesome.
I've always liked gear and stuff, so I mean the college has a lot of nice gear, so believe me, I'm on board here with Mike and the drums and getting the preamps and
Yeah, this little guy,
stuff's so exciting.
my
Okay, yeah, my
Audient,
friend's got one of those. Yeah,
Audient ID14, like unbelievable. I still can't believe how clean it is. Like there's no static at all. Like
Mm.
crazy. Even with the wah pedal, which is famous for like having a lot of frizz and interference, like my goodness.
yeah.
It just clips that channel so well. Anyway, I won't nerd out about I won't go too far down the rabbit hole.
now, as you guys have been readying this new album, you guys are kind enough to send Tony and I a couple songs from the upcoming album.
Yeah.
And you guys did it in a very cool way. You guys each picked a song that you wanted us to maybe do a little snippet on the podcast, as a little teaser.
Yeah.
And it'd be kind of cool to hear why you guys decided to pick those specific songs.
Well, I can talk about, I guess, mine first. Fall So Far. It's man, I wrote that song a long time ago. 2006, I want to say 2005, 2006. And it's about someone really close to me that's had substance abuse issues. Um, so that's kind of what it's about. So it's a pretty heavy song.
Why did you fall? How did you fall? Fall so far. Substance is taken home, left
But
me.
the thing that I love about it is remembering what it was like when I first wrote that song and knowing what it's about, and then hearing it all come together with Chris and Laurel singing on it, and just how it actually has, I don't know, it has more of a hopeful meaning to me now than it did when I wrote it. So it's like the meaning behind it where I was kind of in a really sad place when I wrote it, when it was recorded this time around. Now listening to it as we're prepping the album, it hits me in a different way. And it's really full. It's a full sounding song, and it's a really simple, relatively simple song, I think. I mean, it's got a handful of chords, and there's I mean, there's the chorus part's a little different, and it's got some weird stops and starts, which I guess I do a lot. And but I don't know. I just really like it. And that I remember when we recorded that, we lived in Portland. So that was recorded, man, 13, 2013, 2014. It was before we moved to Kansas City. We lived in
Yep.
Portland, then we moved to Kansas City, and now we're back in Houston.
Yep.
Because I played drums on that song, and the place that we were living had a drum kit. So I went to town. I started, I think I told you all this. I started as a drummer in a band and
Yeah.
when I was really, really shitty. Um, but it was fun to set that up in the guest room, and then I would just play along with my favorite albums. It was great. And then I knew that song backwards and forwards, and I was like, I'm gonna try the drums on this one. And I'm so glad that I did because I love them. I love how they turned out. So, yeah, really proud of that song. And I think that's the main reason I picked it is the way that Chris's parts come through. I really like how my parts come through. It's very balanced, and then I think Laurel's voice adds a whole other element to that song, like her voice typically does. So that's why I picked that one.
Yeah, and I texted you this. When I first heard the song, I recognized your wife's voice instantly.
Mm,
Because she's on your guys' other songs on your other albums, and
yep.
your guys' voice just blend perfectly together.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, she's got an awesome voice, and we love singing for our daughter, and our daughter I made a mix of all the songs that Laurel and I sing on together, and it's just called Mommy Daddy songs. So our daughter wants to hear that when we're driving around in the car. So that's pretty
Oh,
cool.
that's cute.
So I get to hear myself sing a lot more than I would want, but I get to hear my wife sing as well. So, but yeah, she's got a great voice. She really does.
And so then, Chris, your song that you pick, "Snapshot." I want to say when I first heard it, I texted Tony and I said, "Oh, this reminds me of REM," which you had mentioned as being one of your influences growing up. Um, and then Tony had to be a little snarky and go, "That's because that's the only band you know that has mandolin in it." and we fought a little bit on the phone, but
Funny.
I definitely do get major REM vibes, and more so than just the mandolin, but just the chords themselves and the structure and the rest of the instrumentation. Um, and I was just curious why you wanted to pick that song as kind of the little preview from this new album.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard Battle of Evermore when I got it from
Battle
Zeppelin.
of Evermore.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Zeppelin.
Oh, okay, I not a
He's
huge
not a
Zeppelin
Zeppelin
guy.
guy.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, if for sure. Out of Time, REM. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Oh, vivid memories when I got that on tape for the first time. Um, yeah, Snapshot. Clearly Matt and I both love Laurel singing. So, um,
Yeah, that's the one common theme between the two songs.
Yeah.
totally. And there's a good reason for that. I mean, that's the first time that Matt has done something. The primary voice of the song is the mandolin. He had done some lead work on mandolin on a couple of other songs, but never be the full voice of the song. And I only had a drums, maybe the acoustic guitar. I don't know. There's a lot of parts. I was messing with the GarageBand file the other day, and I was like, wow, there's a lot in here. There's like 8 or 9 tracks.
Yeah.
It's very conceivable I just did drums, so I'm not playing anything. He did the vocals, the backing vocals, the mandolin, the guitar, the electric guitar, the bass. Um,
Yeah,
and
you
God,
played acoustic on that. You played some
maybe
acoustic.
I did. Maybe I did. Yeah, I don't even. I isolated the track and tried to like see if I could peg it, and was like, okay, who does that sound like? I'm like,
I
I
think
don't know.
I originally did the acoustic and it sounded like complete crap. So I just deleted it. I was like, why don't you try the acoustic? So I'm
Maybe
pretty sure.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just different. It's just different. It really hit so different. Like he's never, and that was coming off of a phase of like more acoustical based stuff. We kind of hit this heavy period during Life Can Go. Like stuff was aggressive and like the voice of the song was like, a distorted guitar, right? And this
Hmm.
was just like, whoa, breath of fresh air. I also chose it because we got to play it together in a room when he lived in Kansas City. And this was
Oh,
before the pandemic. This was back in probably 2018.
18.
I,
Yeah.
dro I drove out there. I took my drums. I packed up the drums and I brought my mixer and my Mac and I recorded us jamming for a few hours.
Yeah.
And we played songs. I think we played 3 songs right off this new album because it was fresh in our minds. And
Hmm.
I have that track. It's not like the best quality, obviously, but like we just nailed it. He starts in on the mandolin and I'm on the drums, and it was just like, I heard the song so many times and I'd practiced the drum parts like a jillion times. Being in the room with him was just like it just synced up. And that's obviously the preferred way to go, right? Is like staying in time. And yeah, we just blazed through that song. In fact, there's a false start. He starts playing it, and I start doing the kick drum, and then he like hits it. He's like laughing. He's like busting up. He's just like, oh, I don't even know like what's going on. So, like you capture this moment of just fun.
Yeah.
And when I hear that song, it takes me right back to that moment because there's just been maybe like three or four times in our
Mhm.
that we've actually been in the same place playing instruments together. So
I'll always look to you. That'll never change, and I'll see you again.
and it's just good songwriting. Like, I just love the way that it flows and I love how Laurel comes in and it's like a consummate band song, but it's just the three of us. We would make I this I'm biased, but we would make a killer three-piece band. Honestly. Like if
Yeah.
it was I'm on drums, Matt's on guitar and whatever instrument,
Piano.
Laurel's on tambourine and vocals, like dude, we would kill it. We could play and break even. There you go.
Now, I don't want to hold you guys to anything, but you have mentioned that the new album is pretty much almost done. Do
Mhm.
we see a release date this year of it coming out?
I would say yes. I it kind of depends on Mora. She's doing the artwork for it. I have talked to her about it. She's listened to it. She loves it. She's blown away. She's like, "This, how is this the same? You guys are right." She just doesn't. She still doesn't have her mind quite wrapped around it, but she's working on the artwork. So, and we don't know if there's actually going to be a physical release of this, at least maybe not the first go around. I think we just want to get it out and we'd probably just put it out digitally, which cuts down on the amount of artwork that she would have to do. Because when you're submitting for a CD or a vinyl,
Yep.
you have to do all different types of
Hmm.
proofing and so that's going to really simplify that process. So I would say yeah. I mean, I don't see any reason why this everything's done. I mean, I think we've gone through this enough times,
Oh yeah.
given it the car test more times than we can count. And there's going to be some things that are on there to where they're just not going to sound perfect. And that's kind of what Chris and I were describing, like warts and all. It's just like just accept the song for being the song that it is. And I think that's so freeing. And we're not nearly as hard on ourselves as we used to be. So I think that's going to allow this to come out sooner rather than later.
To be helpful though, like I don't have all the parts. So even if I wanted to tinker, and I've been known to tinker, like I have the master files, but there's in some cases I don't have I'm missing tracks and I've had to import combined tracks. Like it was a Frankenstein job, and I'll be
Yeah.
honest, like I touched on it 3 summers in a row. Pandemic was a opportunity to
Yeah.
learn how to mix and master through GarageBand's functionality and studying what, EQ tools can do and frequencies and how they're important, like crash course, right?
Yeah.
And now I got Chat GPT, so I totally cheat. And I'm like, oh, tell me what's a good level for the exciter. Here's the music, here's what it, and they're just like, "Du-du-du-du-du-du," and I'm like, cool, make the adjustment. Hey, that sounds good. And sometimes they just say play with it until till your ears like it. That was years. Matt and I have been batting this back and forth. I
Yeah.
mean, it's mixed, it's mastered,
Yeah.
and it needs a title and a track order and art and
That's it.
yeah. Yeah, that's it. Man, this it'd be
Awesome.
good. It'll feel a great deal of relief. Not that I've been feeling the burden over the last 10 years because, been having babies and Matt's having babies and moving 5 times. And, there's been loss in our lives. There's been job changes. Like, just, it was never in a rush. It was always like, we're
Yeah,
gonna get to it. Like, when
yeah,
we get to a life space together where we feel like it's time to get back in. But I mean, I don't know how many emails I created, you created,
yeah, a lot.
album four, master track list, 2016. And I mean, I might, like what?
Yeah.
That sounds like Tony and I, and we haven't even released our first album yet.
Yeah, it's just been cooking for a while. We're thinking about checking on it soon, but no
Yeah,
end in sight.
you don't, if you see smoke, you better go get it.
Yeah, it's just different. I mean, the first three all came out pretty quickly, after one another, and then kind of like what Chris said, it's just a lot of life happens, right? And one of the things that I probably treasure most about this is the friendship I have with Chris. I mean, he's my best bud, and I know he's got my back. So if I tell him, "Hey, I need to take a break," he's fine with that, and likewise, I would be fine with that too. And there have been times we've had to do that. I mean babies, loss, moving, it's like, there was a period I remember when we moved into this house, when I finally got to see my electric and I hadn't seen it in like a year and a half. I was like, oh, my baby. I was so excited. So you have to go through those periods and to do it with Chris, who's, we're very like-minded in that, in terms of the priorities. But this is so much fun, and we have so much fun when we're doing it. Putting this one to bed is going to be awesome because then I feel like we're going to be like kids again, and we're just going to run. And the album number five is going to be interesting.
Yeah,
It's gonna be interesting.
do you think it'll be a quicker time between album 4 and 5 once this new one gets released?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff. I mean, I think there's at least 20 plus things on my Bandcamp right now that are just sitting and waiting, and I know Matt has the same, if not more, of that lingering. And I'm still writing. I don't think I've ever hit a period like this, other than the first in 2009 when we first. I met him in the throes of just really figuring out, having fun with creating my own stuff,
Yeah,
right? Like that's this. I went through a long period where I was unenthused, not really into it. Like I probably didn't touch an instrument for a year, year and a half, maybe more. And that's fine. I mean, music's not the only thing that connects Matt and I. We've been talking every day, texting every day. We used to email every day.
yeah,
But now it's just we just text. So when the music is quiet and things, we chat with each other
yeah, we're
all
good.
the time.
Yep.
And I think there's a mutual understanding that there's no pressure. But I think, like you said earlier, we had to promise each other because we're so excited to get this done. I won't send you anything, I promise. And it's been a really hard,
Yes.
like, you come up with something. I'm like, oh my God, you're gonna love this. Like, I
Yeah.
put it out and I'll be like, hey, well, here's a link to my Bandcamp. And I love it. Sometimes you won't even respond to it. And I know that that's just the agreement to be like, yeah, dude,
Yep.
we good. Or you'd be like, uh, that's cool. And I'll be
Yeah.
like,
Well,
I
last
know
night
you
was,
listen to it. I know you get
yeah.
on there and listen to stuff. And I listen to his spontaneous EPs. Like those are just they're effing brilliant. I listen to them when I'm at work doing my notes. Like it's so good. So yeah, gotta hold back the tidal wave, even though there's nothing for us really to focus on other than continuing to create and staying connected with one another.
Yeah. And ideas come, I mean, with the EPs that happens, but I have so many ideas that are because most of the songs on the EPs, they're pretty short. They're minute and a half, maybe 3 minutes. I think maybe there's one in all of them that's maybe over 3.5 or 4 minutes, just one. But even last night, I finished the EP and then I was just tinkering on the Gretsch acoustic right back there and just tinkering on it and came up with this riff. I was like, oh man. So then I plugged in this scratch, the electric, and into the hot rod and cranked it. I was like, yeah, that's a Cluthe Lee song. It is a badass riff, and I can't wait to hand it off to Chris. And I recorded it on my phone. I was like, I'm not going to forget this. So you can hear me. Okay, I'm on the fifth fret, da 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 da, talking, making a note. This is what I'm playing it slow, then playing it fast, and I have it saved. I have a whole file of those types of songs, a whole folder, excuse me, that I'll be sharing with Chris.
We had talked too here recently within the last month that we were going to try something different, and I had proposed, and we've never really done this, only because I think we've always just liked what the other one did. If there's something about, like, he picks a song that I've demoed on Bandcamp, and he's like, I don't know if I like that arrangement. I've been taking better notes to remember how to play it so that if he's, hey, I think we can do something different here, that we might actually like legit co-write
Yeah,
something, which is back to the OG like vision. I'm like, I'm gonna write a part, he's gonna write a part, I'm gonna write a part, we're gonna collaborate, and we'll put it all together,
yeah.
you know. And that's up for play. And I know he said the same to me, like, hey, he takes way better notes than I do. I suck. So now all the songs on Bandcamp are labeled appropriately, the tuning, and if it's capoed, and yeah, the rest is me. I need to keep it fresh. So that I don't know. That might be an evolution of the next phase is like he co-writes something with me or vice versa or both of us. So
Yep.
I mean, that's the dream. I mean, being able to come up with music with someone. I mean, like Tony and I, like I said, we haven't been doing it a lot recently, but anytime him and I get together, especially, when we're in the same state, in the same room, there's definitely a different vibe to playing music with someone, because a lot of
Yeah.
times he has bandmates and stuff that he plays with all the time, but me over here is just by myself. So anytime I can pick up a guitar and, Tony's playing guitar with me or playing drums, it's definitely a completely, different feeling.
Yep.
Kind of just sometimes I feel like when you're in the room and you're just like on the same page with other people, sometimes the music just plays itself.
Hmm.
Like I feel like sending ideas back and forth is really fun because you get to, develop it on your own, kind of have that privacy, and then feel like you're bringing forward your best work or whatever. But
yeah.
sometimes, like just in the moment, even if it's not your best work, sometimes just the energy or like the fun you have, that experience you can look back on. Like you were saying about the false start, you wouldn't really get a false start, sending back an idea back and forth.
No.
So yeah, I do think it does make a difference being in the same room and whatnot. And something I do want to add on to, you mentioned about like taking notes of like how you played something,
Yeah.
like capo spot. My friend always gives me shit because we'll be like playing something, rehearsing a new song, and they're like, "All right, so what do I play?" And I'm just like, I think you play
Oh.
something like, give me a minute, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out." So I totally get you about having to take notes.
Yeah, I have a note next to me, and this is about as like it's on the back of a photo. There you
Hey,
go.
that's important.
I think the notes live in here, honestly. Like, as long as I can remember what the tuning was and where the capo was, I can figure it out for sure. But then there have been some stuff where I've been like, "Yep, this is it. This is what I've got," and he's never been like, "Oh yeah, like let's rewrite this part." He's always just been like, "Okay, that's what we got. That's what we're doing," and it's fun. It's challenging and challenging can be fun too,
Yeah.
just and maybe that's the air that we're moving towards here together in is like not a lot of thinking like that, overthinking, just really like coming from here, just like okay, it's all instinct. I'm not thinking too much about it. I'm playing it over before I hit record a few times. That's it though,
Yeah.
and that's so much fun. I feel physically, mentally better after that. Like every single time. Even if I don't come into it with ideas, I just come in, do the thing. When if I come in with an idea, that's a little more satisfying because it's like it's finally out, it's been like festering in my brain all week, like humming a melody or hearing something. I'm like, man, if I don't get this out, my brain's gonna melt.
Yeah. Yeah, that can be frustrating for sure.
Well, we don't want to take up too much of your guys' time. I know you guys, got busy lives, got a lot going on. We're extremely thankful that you guys were able to make time to be on our silly little podcast, and as well
Oh,
as
it's not
sending.
silly. Don't do that. It's not silly. Oh,
No,
it's good.
no, your podcast is good. I listen to it quite a bit. Seriously.
And we're also very thankful that you guys sent us some new tunes. First time in my life where I've gotten to hear songs before anyone else.
Yeah.
So that was quite a treat. I just have a couple quick little rapid fire questions, Tony. If you
Yeah.
have any, you could throw some in here at the end. You guys had to pick one song from any of your three albums that you've released as like showing someone who's never heard your music before. What would be the one song you would pick?
Oh my God.
I know
Oh,
it's a hard one. It's a
Chris,
hard
you
one.
can go first.
Yeah, way to put him on the spot,
Oh.
bro.
not fair.
Wow, that's
Okay, all right. So maybe I'll go in eras. Number one,
Okay.
Faster Than You Know from Here We Are. My favorite all-time Cluthe Lee song we've ever done to date. I just adore that song. Um, This Is from Life Can Go.
That's one of my favorites.
It's so good. I love that one. Oh man, Where It Began. That's such a toughie.
yeah, that's all
Maybe
right.
Crooked Building, maybe Chaos Ensues. Yeah, we're gonna go Chaos Ensues because that's just like just a wild. Oh my gosh, so well. Yeah, there you go. I would play those, and I have played those songs for people, or I've had people tell me they're like, "Oh, those are I really like this one." And we're like, "Cool, I do too."
Yeah, man. If you had to pick a baby,
I
and I pick one kid.
got three babies, so
The one from each album or just one overall?
Well,
You can
hey,
do one
whatever
from
you can
each,
do.
sure.
Yeah.
Um, I gotta go with Presently Falling because that's kind of how it kicked off. Um, and Predicament, I would also say from that record. I love that song.
Ooh. Predicament, original Predicament, or reworked for Different Colors EP Predicament?
I mean, they're both fun, but I like the original.
Oh man.
Yeah, they're both fun. Um, man, oh, Life Can Go. I would probably go with the title track. Um, that is still to this day when I think about that song, I know exactly where I was and exactly what started that song and why it was written. So I would probably go with that one. Crooked Building and Unfolding would probably be tied from where
Ooh.
Crooked Building I love. That's that we have a lot of good like heavy rocking type songs, but that riff just gets stuck in my head and I love it. And then I did some weird spacey thing with the slide on that.
Mhm.
And I've tried playing along with it to figure out no idea. No
No,
idea what I'm
that's
playing.
one of one, man, never to be
Yep.
recreated.
So I would probably say those.
If you guys had a dream venue to play at, you guys get to headline your own show, one venue. You can be anywhere in the world.
Whoa.
Oh wow. Anywhere in the world.
Um, what's the one that Petty did the residency in San Francisco?
The Fillmore, love the
Fillmore.
Fillmore, love going there.
That's mine.
I'm gonna stick with Petty and go with the last place I saw him, which was Red Rocks.
Ooh.
Nice. That's on my bucket list. I've not been there yet, but
It's
And I'll
Probably
be
number
there,
one.
so I get to come too. So that's okay, cool.
yeah.
yes.
You get to come to the Fillmore too.
Awesome.
There you go.
Yeah, Red Rocks is amazing. Just pack a lot of water because that's quite the journey into the venue.
Oh, is it?
Oh yeah, it's a hike
Oof.
in a literal sense. So, and the elevation
Uphill,
change, and
downhill.
yeah, I mean, we just had to stop a couple times on our way just to kind of catch our breath because it was like, good grief. But then once you're in there, it's like, okay, you're good, because then you're going down when you leave. So you're good.
All right, I got a generic question here, but I always love hearing the answer for this one. If you guys could jam, each of you with a different answer here. If you guys could jam with any musician,
Oh, he took mine.
living or unalive, yeah.
I know Matt's.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
Who?
Petty.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
Oh,
wait a
I
minute.
mean,
No, no,
said
no.
That's
Can I get a
close.
second? Can I get a second guess?
Sure.
Elliott Smith.
Yep.
Yes.
uh,
Yeah.
it'll
He
probably be one of
is.
Tony's.
Yeah, I
For
would
sure.
say Elliott Smith has been he or I mean honestly probably Damian Rice too. I mean just two pure songwriters and in the purest sense of the word. And even Glenn Hansard, you could throw him in there as well.
Mm,
A fan would be
Glenn,
another
love
one.
Glenn.
Just give me a songwriter to jam with. That's what I want to do. But
Yeah,
Elliott Smith, dude was a genius.
I was gonna throw in Damian Rice too because I know he's big on your list,
Yeah.
and I had listened to Damian Rice before you and I met, so thank you for that.
Yeah, of course.
Um, I'm gonna cop out and say Eddie Vedder just because I write with Matt's voice in my mind, so it's just that lower register. So naturally, like if what I'm that's what like musically attracts me.
You have like a era of Eddie because like
Oh
we're
God.
not going like current day like the Earthlings, are we? Or we going like 90s
I'm
or
afraid I couldn't keep up with that angsty energy. And 93 is my favorite era of the band, but right now would be my favorite just because that's much more evolved singer-songwriter, and I feel like that's my approach. I'm writing for a singer-songwriter and not necessarily some crazy aggression like Animal or Rearview Mirror or something. Those are fun to jam on my own, but um yeah.
and then one last question here. Tony and I asked this the same question as the last question when we interviewed producer Barrett Jones. Um, yeah, well, that was a very fun episode. Um,
We're not we aren't the episode following that one, are we?
and then, well, actually, Matt's episode came out like the like I think the right next one after.
Yeah, yeah,
Good job. Good job,
Yeah.
yeah,
Matt.
yeah. That
Oh,
was
Um,
yeah, that was fun.
tough act to follow.
but
Oh.
if you guys had to each give Tony and I an album to react on the podcast, one
Mhm.
that we haven't heard before,
Oh.
because I mean that's kind of why we started this podcast is really for
Mhm.
to give each other new music and just be able to talk about music. And one of our favorite series is to give each other new albums that the other person hasn't heard. So if you guys had to recommend one album,
What about My Morning Jacket's Z?
that would fit. I have not. I
Mm,
think I heard a little My Morning Jacket around the time I was getting into Pearl Jam because there was a lot of people in the 10
man,
Club who were
good
also
one.
into them, but I don't think I give them enough listens.
No, that's a direct influence from Matt. Matt turned me back onto them big time. Other than like, um, what is it? Their Evil Urges album. I don't think I'd ever heard Z either.
Z is mind blowing, and they have a live album called Okanokos, that basically has all of Z live. So listen to it, and then their studio versions are great. They are a phenomenal live band, and they're meant to be seen and experienced live. They're so good, so good.
So
Probably best
is
album I
that your
can.
recommendation, the live one, and then
I no, my recommendation, because of what I just said for who I'd want to jam with, I would say Damian Rice, my favorite Faded Fantasy. We'll look
okay,
that
yeah,
one up.
he's. I remember, when you and I connected and we were talking about our, musical influences and
Hmm.
Glenn being one of them. I remember you mentioning him, and
Yeah.
he's was a blind spot, and unfortunately still is a blind spot. I've gotten into a lot of musicians, but he's someone I have not gotten a chance to listen to any of his music.
So you'll find that his music is somewhat similar to Glenn's, and that it is emotionally charged. You can hear the emotion in their voices, and
Hmm.
it's I don't know if it's an Irish thing, because they're both from Ireland, but they're good friends. I think they've co-written, they tour together, they do all kinds of stuff. But um, Damien only has three albums.
Oh, okay.
He's been working on number four for longer than Chris and I have been working on number
You
four.
guys are not alone in that.
No, we're not. But all three of them are good. But I tell you, when I got back into drums, that album, my favorite Faded Fantasy, had just come out when we lived in Portland, and that's how I relearned the drums, is drumming along to that album. And then we got to see him while we lived in Portland too. and he rarely tours. We had like 10th row seats.
Mm.
Mind blowing. So good. So if
Wow.
you guys hate it, don't tell me.
Okay. Okay. If the episode
And-
never gets released, I mean, yeah, I mean,
Well
maybe
done.
that's what. Yeah.
There you go. But Chris's recommendation is spot on. Z is amazing. And Okanokos is so good.
Well, we'll definitely be checking those out. Tony, have any last minute burning questions or?
No, I appreciate your guys' time. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It was a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Yeah, when you guys, I will be in the description putting links to your guys's, Spotify, Apple Music. Chris, I'll be linking your Bandcamp. Same with you, Matt, with all your recent spontaneous EPs.
Cool.
And I mean, whenever you guys release the album, have a release date, your guys are always more than welcome to come back on the podcast if you want to do another episode where we dive into the songs and whatnot. Tony and I would love that.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Awesome.
Well, thanks again for coming on, and until next week, we hope everyone out there takes care, and you'll be hearing from us soon. Bye-bye.
Awesome.
Did you let go? Let in the sunshine, pressing buttons, let the wheels fly by. There's no